All right, here we are. So we're trying to figure out this hay situation. It's becoming increasingly tough as we're starting to see some neighbors and some other people around dealing with their situations. We're realizing that a lot of us are in the same boat. There's one hope for us. And you are going to get to come along as we investigate the hope. I'll tell you what it is, okay? I made mention of it in a previous video. This year, we came across an advertisement from the Fish&Game, which is the State Department that more or less is in charge of wildlife and wildlife management. The Fish&Game has a large piece of ground that was left to them when a rancher passed away. He was very passionate about deer hunting and whatnot, and he gifted his ranch to the state, basically, to turn it into a, I don't know if preserve is the right word, but into a place for, the public to come and hunt deer. On that piece of ground, there's about 80 acres of irrigated alfalfa. And the catch to this whole place is that it's in a fairly remote, hard to get to area. Fish&Game has some certain things, stipulations that they've put in place that they want to see happen before they would award this ground to whoever was interested in getting it. Well, me and Weston were all excited about it, so we put in for it and we got it. Turns out nobody else even applied to have this property, to manage this property. And the deal of it is, you come cut the hay, you pay for the irrigation, and you can just have the hay if you'll just do this and do the work. Well, we're starting to see why nobody applied for it. It's in a remote area, but we're gung-ho, we love to work, and we're convinced that we can make this happen. So we went down and checked out this property probably a month ago, and it was looking great at the time. The alfalfa was 6 inches tall. We did find some major issues with the irrigation. As we investigated a little more, communicated with the Fish&Game, we found out that it has not been managed for about 3 years. And as we looked, we found where, and this is, sorry to those of you that hunt, and I know most of you do it properly, but there are spots where hunters have gone down in there and literally driven over the main line, which is what runs the water from the river up to the fields. They've driven over the main line hunting and just completely crushed it in spots. They've ran into the wheel line and kinked a bunch of the wheels over so that the wheel line will not spin and move through the field. Some things like that we've discovered that we relayed to the Fish&Game that they weren't aware of. Of course, they were frustrated about it to see that had happened. And the long and the short of it is, there's no irrigation able to be used down there right now. So it's gotten far enough in the year, we were not able to irrigate the first cutting, or the first crop of hay. And in order to get this irrigation fixed, if we want to use it this year, we need to go cut what hay's down there, clear it off so the fields are open, we can bring equipment in, we can get this irrigation revamped and set up. But here's the whole catch, okay? Here's the whole catch of the deal. If we go down there and we find that the hay is only as tall as our hay that we looked at in the last video, it's not going to be worth our trouble and time and effort to go down and cut the hay to restart and irrigate. So those are the two issues. One, the irrigation's not even running at the moment. It needs a lot of work to get it going. We're happy to put in the effort this year to get it going if there's a hay crop down there to cut right now. See, here's the thing with hay. I mentioned this again in the last video. If the alfalfa has budded and bloomed and it's only 10 inches tall or 6 inches tall, you can go water all you want. It's not gonna grow any taller. It's done growing. So in order to restart the crop, you have to cut it. So if we want to restart this crop down there to irrigate it here in a few weeks, we have to cut it so it'll restart. But we can't cut it if there's nothing to cut. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's what we're gonna go find out today. We're really, really, really hoping that we'll get down there in an hour and we find that it's tall enough to cut. We can haul the swather down there, we can go cut it, we'll go get a decent little crop, add that to the tiny little bit of hay that we're gonna put up at home, and go from there. So that's what's gonna be cooking in this video. You're gonna either see some great excitement or some deep sadness. Right, Bama? What's your favorite bird right now? Put your hand down so we can hear you.
Pelican.
Why is your favorite bird a pelican?
Because they scoop up fish.
They just got like a net in their beak and they just scoop them right in. Bam Bam, what was on your window? What was it? It was a bug? Was it scary?
Yeah.
Army will always protect you from scary bugs.
Daddy like to eat bugs.
Grandpa eats bugs?
Yeah.
What? There's a big fly on her, window. She was all scared about it, and she goes, Grandpa will eat the bugs. I like the big juicy ones.
Sometimes you eat bugs like Stampy.
Yeah, sometimes me and Lashy like
Kind of tough to say.
maybe you were the J, I don't know. These can be as spicy as you think.
Yeah, it feels like a tropical forest compared to home. Almost up to your knee. So this is it. This is the bottom. This is this Fish&Game property, and it's ready to cut. No question. You can tell down under it's getting yellow underneath, which of course means it's ready. It's drying out. It's going backwards from here. Any day it's not being cut, it's definitely going backwards. There's a wheel line out there that runs across that's defunct. Normally it's supposed to run all the way across this field, you know, out to about here. Army, do you see that hawk? Look up high, up over there, buddy, way up high. Anyway, that wheel line's supposed to run across here. There's main line that runs across these trees, and Fish&Game is on board to try to get it running as soon as possible after this is cut, should we decide to cut it. But that's what we've got to decide now. Should we cut this? Should we bring all our equipment all this way and cut it and bank on irrigating? Grasshoppers everywhere. A lot of weeds, a lot of cheatgrass. It's pretty dirty down here, but tough to say, you guys. There's parts of it that look pretty good, and then a lot of it that looks pretty bad. But it's eons ahead of where we're at home. We're about 50 miles east of here, is where the ranch is. So you look at this alfalfa that's growing. I mean, it looks pretty bad. It is bad. I mean, it's extremely dried out, very droughty, but it's not quite blooming yet. So we come in and we cut it and we get this irrigation going as quick as possible. I think we'd get a pretty, as hot as the summer's looking to be moving forward. I think we could I think we could get a pretty decent cut off of it again in late July, which might be just enough to get us through the. You can see the ghosts of last year. The ghosts are those white stems that you see sticking way up tall. So you can tell how much shorter we are than it was last year down here. And I mean, if you've been around hay, you can tell. This is just, it's dry as a bone. This should have been irrigated. You know, that was the plan originally. Look how dry this is getting. That was the plan originally with the Fish and Game, was to irrigate it, but between the hunters wrecking everything and whatnot, it's just not ready to roll, which is a shame. You get hunters and people down here running into the wheel line, driving over the main line, crushing it, so we can't maintain it. The whole idea behind this place being irrigated with the Fish and Game is let's hay it twice in the summer, irrigate it a third time, so that in September there's nice, lush, fresh regrowth for the deer. You know, to have a nice place to eat and a place for hunters to come in and, you know, do their thing. But as with everything, there's a small little fraction. I shouldn't say hunters, because I know most people respect the land and the properties, but over the years I've had plenty of unsavory encounters with that small percentage that don't respect and care for it the way they should. And I'll show you here what I'm talking about. Line is main line. It's above ground main line. See that? It runs right along here, and it just keeps cruising across here. Now I understand the guy might not see it while he's driving around, but there's big, huge signs at the entrance of this field that says no motorized vehicles. For this reason, they don't want you in here because there's things that can be damaged. Here you go. Here's a spot right here. See that? See that main line just squished? Someone drove over it, may have realized it and backed over it and got off of it, but they didn't take the time to report it to the Fish and Game. Of course, nobody wants to admit a mistake. Oh yeah, look here. Here you go. There's some more. Okay, we made it to the wheel line. See this right here? That's where the hose connects the main line to the wheel line. Here's the old hose, and that will send water down the line and fire up all these sprinklers. You move it about twice a day, so you move it morning and night. It'll spray and sprinkle, and then you move it forward about 30 yards or so down, hook it back up, and irrigate. So ideally, I think walking through this, the plan's gonna be, we're gonna come hay this. It's gonna be pretty junky because it's been so dry, but we've got to cut it to re-stimulate the growth so that once it's watered, that alfalfa will go, hey, let's get rolling again. There's water. Let's go, guys. Come on. Let's go. Come on. So, this is good. I mean, this is good. This could be just what we need to. I don't want to be dramatic and say save the ranch. This might save the ranch, but it might save our hay situation. You know, to a point where we can get through the wintertime. You guys, lines, they don't just crush themselves. See that? I would bet you anything that wheel being crushed, I mean, they're solid. Like, they're made to be strong. That wheel's crushed. There's about 3 or 4 of those. There's another one up ahead of me up there that's just awful. So this place is broken up into 2 sections. There's the wheel lines over on the other side of that ridge, and then there's this, which is the dreaded hand line irrigation. So we came over to see if this was worth cutting to fire up the hand lines, and I would say it's not quite as nice. Yeah, and this will be a little more labor intensive to water. Some of you Idaho boys are nodding your head going, oh yeah, Handline City. They got a big stack of hand lines back behind us. The river's just beyond the pickup. And that's that, but I don't know. It's a tough call. It's a long ways to haul all the equipment and for a very little reward. And with our luck, there's always the chance that the river might
Too low to pump out of?
Might get too low to pump out of by the time we get this cut, baled, pulled off. And I have a feeling with the irrigation to get it running, don't you think we'd have to kind of take it into our own hands?
Probably.
Just, there's people that are supposed to do it, but you know how that can go sometimes. It's, you know, we're in so much more of a rush and a strain and a stress for it to get going that we may just end up pulling a Cerro Gordo and just doing some serious work. So we'll see. Okay, we had a long trip home to talk about, kind of weigh out the pros and cons, think a little bit about what we want to do. And after working the numbers, doing a little shikasha, we decided that we're going to go for it. And here's why. Here's why. So much of this situation is out of our control, but this is something that is partially in our control. Getting equipment moved down there, putting that crop up, even though it's probably not really worth cutting at the moment, knowing that we can use our work ethic and our skills to get that irrigation going. I think we can make this work. I think we can make this work. It takes a portion of this situation and it puts the control in our hands. You know, getting that wheel line put together, getting those pumps in the river. We can play a big part in that. What do we get to do next? What's the next steps? What are the most immediate things that we can go and do? We're gonna fire up the cab over. Picked up this equipment hauler just this last year over the winter time. It's got some pullouts so we can put the swather on here. I got to go through it. I got to get it charged up. Got to make sure everything's smooth. Got to make sure it's able to transport. This is going to be the key to getting all this equipment moved to 50 miles. We got to get the swather down there. We got to get the tractor and the baler down there. We got to get the hay rake down there. Should be good. All right, next step up, we got to service the old girl. As many of you know, this was the best John Deere swather ever made. Ever. That is not open for discussion. Right? All right, so here's what we got. Got her hooked up to the old cab over. And these trailers are made for hauling wide loads, okay? They have these extenders here that should pull out, clear out about to here. And they make it so that you can drive something like the swather that you see has really wide stance on it. See how wide those wheels are? It makes these extensions, see, they pull out like this out of both sides. So when you're going down the road, you'll have those pulled clear out and you can drive the swather right on. Yeah, we'll just have to break all them off and just replace them on our own sometime. So the issue we're finding with this is they have these little latches that hold these extensions in, and the latches are either completely rusted from the salt on the roads, or somebody out in Illinois at this dealership couldn't get the latches loose, and so they've just shoved the extensions in, and it's bent. I'll show you later, but it's bent the latches in and made them completely inoperable. So we have to cut them off, either breaking them off with the chain as we pull them out, or busting them off, or cutting them off. But whatever it is, they all gotta go. But we're getting there.
We got them. It was a lot of work, but we got them. All extended. There's a few casualties, like that guy. But all in all, not too shabby.
So, this video is coming after all this work and all this toil. This video is coming to a sad and unexpected end. Frustrating. I'm not going to say sad. Frustrating and unexpected ending. Got everything done. You saw, we looked at the hay, we made a plan, we decided to roll, thinking that it was something we could kind of put our hands on. Got the trailer out there behind me, got the trailer all rigged up and ready to go. Got all those extensions that have been froze up for a few years pulled out, cleaned up, cleared up. Got the swather service, it's all rip-roaring, ready to go. Sent a message to our kind of our coordinator for the property with the Fish&Game to just let them know we're gonna go down and start cutting tomorrow because it's so dry. And they said no. Said you cannot cut until you have papers signed. Reason why we haven't signed any papers on the lease down there is because they wanted to make sure the irrigation system was functioning on their end before, we sign anything. So I understand that. I understand why they didn't want us to sign anything yet. But here we are now, and we need to cut that place. It needs to be cut. I mean, ASAP. You saw it. And they won't let us do it. I mean, I tried, you guys. I tried everything. Every which way. And they just can't. They can't. And you're probably wondering to yourself right now, why don't you just go sign papers and get it done? Well, they're all out of town. They're all out of the office, and the process goes something along the lines of, they got to draft a lease, get it approved, by somebody high up, and then sign it, and then we go from there. The long and the short of it is today is Monday, and it's not going to happen until probably Friday. Probably won't have the clear to cut till the weekend, and there just won't be anything left out there by the weekend. It's just, we got this weird heat wave. It was 99 degrees today. and windy, and it's supposed to be like 100, 102 tomorrow, which is so bizarre. That's like the hottest day of the entire year for Montana. Tomorrow and windy again. That's Wednesday, when we still got Thursday, Friday. There just won't be anything left. So after all that excitement, all that rigmarole that you guys just came on, we're skunked. And it's to the point now with that property, it's so much logistical work to haul everything down there, to cut. Even to cut it now, if we cut it tomorrow, it's barely worth cutting. Let alone 4 or 5 days from now, it's just going to be totally fried. And if you don't cut it, you can't irrigate it. I just don't know if it's worth it even for the potential second cutting. There's a lot of weeds in it, a lot of cheatgrass. It's not going to be a great second cutting. So I guess that's where we're going to leave it for now. This summer is getting so bizarre. It's gone from just literally feeling like we're going to be running insane from the middle of June, from all this Cerro Gordo stuff, clear right, come home, start haying. We hay clear through July into our, we have busy things going on in August, and it's just everything is, as I like to say, vanished. And there's still plenty of things. I mean, I always have a million things to do in the shop and loads to haul, and there's things to do, but it's hard. I'm very positive by nature. I'm like a kind of guy, but it's okay to be down from time to time, and I'm not gonna lie, kind of down. But that's the name of the game. That's life, right? Because everybody deals with that. Everybody deals with the ups and the downs and the flow and the go. So we're just gonna cut our losses, and the bright side is I got that equipment trailer dialed in. It needs a little more work, a few little things, but you got to see a sweet cab over, and you got to see me sweat. It was hot today, so we'll just carry on.